Hey guys, if you click that link today, you're wanting to see my winter quarterly update of what's happening in the market here in the Teller County and Pikes Peak region. So make sure you stay tuned to the end because I'm going to go over some very important numbers that you need to understand if you're thinking about waiting until next year around the same time to purchase or sell here in Teller County. This is James E. with James E. Mountain Real Estate and Keller Williams Client's Choice, and I'm here to encourage you, if you haven't done so already, make sure you click that subscribe button here on the YouTube channel. This video will also be playing on my Facebook page as well, just to provide that quarterly update, but really important for you to hit that subscribe button. That's going to be what guarantees that you get as many updates as possible about what's happening in the market as well as what's happening out here in Teller County and living in Teller County and Woodland Park area. So make sure you hit that subscribe button. You can also give me a call, 719-304-9772. You can shoot me a text at that number as well, or you can email me at james.dean@kw.com. I honestly get folks that are constantly emailing, calling, texting me, reaching out to me to ask questions, to help them answer their own questions about the area so they can make informed decisions in real estate here within this Pikes Peak region. So once again, make sure you send that text, that email, or give me that phone call and hit that subscribe button down there as well. Super important to hit that subscribe button because that will keep you notified. Also make sure you hit that notification bell as well so you're notified whenever one of these new videos comes out. But I hope you enjoyed this video going over the winter update 2021 for the Teller County and Pikes Peak region. Okay guys, so today we're going over the market update for the 2021 winter quarter here, starting here in the end of November and the beginning of December. As we move into those winter months, we're in this holiday phase right now, just so you can understand where we are right now, where we were at this time last year, and what our predictions are going to be in the future. So just make sure you stay all the way to the end. Make sure you don't forget to hit that subscribe button as well, as I kind of give you the updates and the statistics from this. So first off, I got some statistics specifically from the Colorado Association of Realtors for Teller County that I want to go over with you guys. And we'll go over some year over year and as well as some monthly updates basically, so we can kind of talk about where we are and where we're going and help to hopefully predict where we'll be a year from now as well. So some of the first numbers I'm going to go over with you today are going to be, they're all going to be single family home numbers, and these numbers are going to be coming from October 2021 since we don't have the full numbers from November yet, since we're still in November, and they'll go back to the same month last year or to year to date from the year to date as well. So first, I want to go over new listings. So new listings, just to kind of show you, we're still at a low inventory point in the market, and we haven't really changed much from last year. So last year at the same time, we were sitting at about 70 listings in the month of October in 2020, and now we're sitting at 82 listings in the month of October. So we've seen a slight increase, and a little bit of that is what I'm going to go over with you guys as well, just to kind of demonstrate and show where we're going, but why I also feel like we're going this direction. So sold listings, however, have also gone up really close to the same amount, about half that amount. So 88 sold listings in October 2020, 94 in 2021. And so they're kind of keeping up with that as well, with the listings that are being sold. Now here's some important numbers for you guys year to date. And I think this is more important year to date than it is for the actual October month to month on this, because the year to date gives a little bit better of an idea of what's happened. So our average sales price that we're looking at from October of 2020 was sitting right around just under $400,000, so $396,579. Now the year-to-date change on that is sitting at $513,956. That's almost a 30% increase in the value of a home from October last year to October this year. Now we're not going to see, the predictions for next year's growth between now and next October are not as aggressive, but they're still pretty good, and there's going to be some important factors that come in with that as well. So the same home you were looking at last year for just under $400,000 today is going to sell for $513,000. Massive increase in the average sales price here in Teller County. And then we're also going to look at the days on market until it's sold. So same time last year, it took an average of about 24 days to sell, and now this year it only took 15 days to sell. So very important. We're only sitting at about a 1.4 month inventory currently and the supply as well. So super important numbers to understand and to know as well. So we're kind of sitting very close to where we were last year. I wouldn't say it's identical, but it's extremely close as far as numbers are concerned and the amount of homes that are on the market, which is going to still supply that inventory issue that started really last year, and it then projected through the summertime. So these numbers are important to kind of see where we're sitting right now compared to last year. And then let's talk a little bit about where we're seeing the holiday season go through this next quarter. So typically a holiday season, you're going to see some slowdown in the market. And it's usually a good time for buyers if they can find a home they want. They're not competing with as many people. However, there's usually less inventory that's out there as well. Well, last year was very different than that, and it kind of showed the start of what was about to happen with this massive housing boom that we got last year in the springtime is really when it took off. Really in that January time frame into February is really started pushing through, and then it really just exploded through the spring and the summer. We're seeing similar trends right now that the housing market is not going to slow down during the holiday time. Why is that important to you? Well, a lot of folks decide, well, I'm going to wait because it's just not a good time to sell or it's not a good time to buy. Whatever your reasons are, all I can do is show you what last year's statistics were and then what this year's statistics are as well. And those statistics are showing it not really slowing down. Now, as a buyer, you might end up with a lot fewer offers on there, but I really think we're seeing a trend of what's going to happen within the spring and summertime as well. But just know and understand, things aren't slowing down just because it's coming into Thanksgiving and Christmas and New Year's. So definitely things to think about. And you can go back and watch some of my previous videos and I talked about, is it a good time to sell during the holidays? There's definitely strategies that go around with that so that you need to actually go through those with your realtor. And talking about, like obviously you don't want your home to go active on a holiday or a holiday weekend if it's avoidable, just because people are typically out of town during that time and you're really going to limit the amount of people that are actually seeing. On the flip side of that, if you're a buyer and you're still in town that you're wanting to buy in, it might be a good time to look at a home just because you'll be competing with a lot fewer buyers during that time frame too. So certainly stuff to think about and look through, but it looks like my job's not going to slow down through the holidays at all, just like it did in last year. So very, very important. Okay, another really important statistic that I want to go through, and there's tons of sources that you can pull this from. You can pull information from the National Association of Realtors to see what the forecast is for 2022. You can pull it from your local state as well. So for us, it would be the Colorado Association of Realtors here to get an idea what those predictions are. And all those predictions are really showing the same thing. We're going to continue to see appreciation through the end of 2022. And one specific one that I'm going to bring up today is Goldman Sachs. Goldman Sachs predicts that the rate of increase or the appreciation that we're going to see in homes here in the Denver metropolitan area, which translates into the Front Range, which also translates into Teller County and the Pikes Peak region, because we're all kind of in that same little realm. As well as we kind of look through that, is that we're going to see an increase of up to 16% next year between now and next December. Now, what does that mean to you with that increase of 16%? Well, I'm going to break it down for you in some figures that'll hopefully illustrate the importance of this, because there's a lot of you out there that are sitting there and you're expecting a housing crash. Nothing out there. Do your research on this. Don't just take it from me. Look up the National Association of Realtors. Look up the Colorado Association of Realtors. Look up economists. You can look up national, local economists. Nobody's predicting that there's going to be a crash at all. So that's very important for you to consider and think about when you're looking at buying. Because if you're sitting there waiting for a crash to happen, here's the potential of what can happen. And this is also for those of you that are kind of on the fence and thinking, no, I'll wait for the market to normalize. I don't want to have to compete with other people that are looking at buying homes. Here's how important this is. Let's take a $500,000 home today. The home is worth $500,000 right now. That's the price range that you can afford with 20% down, which would be $400,000. That's going to be loaned on there. So it'd be $100,000 that you put down and $400,000 in a loan. That $500,000 home, if it stays with what the predictions are going to be, with an increase of 16% between now and the end of next year, you're now looking at that home being worth $580,000. Now, before we get into all this math and I start really kind of going into this, let me just put this in as simple terms as possible. How many of you out there are expected to have an $80,000 increase in your income between now and next year that's going to be able to afford that difference? Now, I know some of you are saying, well, I don't need the full $80,000. I'm going to be getting a loan anyways. Hey, I got it. So maybe this will be a little bit closer for you on here. So let's look at that 20% down change with that 80,000 that's actually placed in there. So 500 to 580 on there. Okay. So if we take that 580 that you're looking at now, you're looking at an increase in your down payment to maintain that 20% down, sitting at $16,000 more that you're going to have down. So between now and then, you're going to have to save $16,000 more just to be able to afford the same exact home for your down payment on there. That's the price that you're paying basically to wait 1 year between now and next year to purchase that exact same home. If you did this last year, you were looking at a $394,000. I'm just using the average price sold just so you guys can get an idea too. You were looking at $394 last year compared to this year, sitting just above $510. That's a much more significant increase, but still those increases mean a lot money-wise. Now let's start getting into some nitty-gritty for those of you that are numbers people like I am, so that you can really understand what this impact has financially on you as well. So currently, what we're sitting at interest rate wise today for a 30-year fix for somebody with around a 700 credit score, which is pretty average for somebody looking to buy a home that's putting 20% down. So they're not paying mortgage insurance. They're just going to be paying principal interest, and I'm not including property taxes or insurance or that stuff. I'm just talking principal and interest on the loan itself. So for a $500,000 home with a 3.399% interest rate, you're looking at a payment of $1,774 a month today if you had that loan today. So $1,774 a month that you're looking at paying for that $500,000 home with 20% down on there. Okay, well, let's start talking differences in what it's going to cost for if you decide to wait, because we're going to also talk about inflation and what that's going to have an effect on, and what the economists are predicting to have an effect on the mortgage rates and what they're supposed to do. So mortgage rates are still going to stay fairly low, or they're predicted to stay fairly low between now and the end of next year, but we're looking at an increase of them ending up right around the 4% mark. So we'll use 4% to be easy. So 3.399% up to 4%. And we're thinking, oh, it's not a big deal, right? Well, it can be a big deal very, very quickly. And here's why. If we look at just the interest rate change alone on the same value loan, you're looking at about $130, $134 difference in how much your mortgage payment is going to be each month. That's if it's staying at that $400,000 value, or the $400,000 loan amount right there. But you're also looking at a much cheaper home at that point as well. So that interest rate change right there is going to make a difference of about $134 a month. Now, if you want to stay in the same home, or look at getting the same home that's going to increase net value also, here's the difference of what you're looking at with that. Because not only do you have an appreciation in the home value, but you also have an increase in your interest rate up to 4%. So now you're looking at going from a $1,774 a month payment to $2,215 a month. That's a difference of $441 a month for the same home. $441 a month. That's a lot of money. That's a ton of money that you're looking at difference-wise. Now, if you were to take that same amount, that if you were to purchase that home in the future 1 year from now, that same exact home that's increased in value by 16%, and the interest rates are now at 4% right there. Now what you're looking at is that $441 difference applied to today at a 3.399% interest is equivalent of $100,000 more of home. So that's equivalent of buying another $100,000 worth of home. So $600,000 worth of home instead of $500,000 at that point. This is an incredible difference that you need to look at. And this is why it's so important too to know and understand. And NAR's prime economist, I think his last name is Young, but he was talking about this as well. Most economists are going to talk about the same thing. Do your research on this too. Don't just take my word for it. Get out there and look at this stuff, because these economists are showing the same stuff. Everybody's heard about the inflation scares that we're having, the inflation that we've actually had occur already. And it's caused rents to go up, and it's caused all kinds of things to go up. Well, real estate is a very, very safe market to be in when there's inflation issues. And the reason why is because real estate is going to go up with that inflation. So you're going to gain that value of money as the value of the dollar decreases, because it takes more dollars to buy one thing. The home prices are going to increase with that, with a very good ratio, and it's a very safe place to be. A place that's not safe to be is with that money sitting there in your bank account while you're waiting for the market to crash and it's continuing to increase, and inflation is making that $100,000 that's sitting in your account worth even less, and you're going to end up paying more for that same home because that home is increasing with inflation and everything else is happening as well. So that's super, super important for you to think about while you're thinking about buying a home or even selling your current home right now. Because if you're thinking about upgrading or moving up in home, this is the time to do it while the interest rates are lower because it's going to save you that much more money in the long run. I mean, that's a ton of money that you're going to save in the long run. So that's kind of where we're seeing the market go right now as we get into this winter quarter of 2021. So some other things that are very important that I want to talk to you about as well, because we have seen some things slow down a little bit and normalize, and that's what's going to cause the price increases not to go up as aggressively as almost 30% as they were last year, and we're sitting at just over half of what they went out last year. But what drove those price increases to happen was basic supply and demand. And we still have inventory issues, and there's still more buyers out there than there are sellers. Now, what's going to help slow that down, and already has helped slow that down a little bit more, is the new builds that are happening out there that are helping to push more inventory out there. Plus, more sellers that are starting to look at feeling more comfortable selling so that they can go out and buy another place. And we have seen a much, much reduced margin of how many we've seen multiple offers come in on homes, and we've seen homes sit on the market for a couple weeks sometimes before they actually sell. But we've seen that they're still selling very quickly. They're still, if they're priced correctly, they're still selling in way less than a month on there. So that's very important too. So even though a home doesn't sell that first weekend, doesn't mean, oh no, the market's crashed. These homes, if you go back 2-3 years ago, you're looking at homes sitting on the market 60, 90, 120 days, and that wasn't abnormal in those markets, especially for some of these more harder to sell homes, which in this market is a great time to sell one of those hard to sell type homes with lots of land, more expensive type home. This is the absolute perfect time to sell those, where you're not going to see one of those homes sit on the market for 6 months to a year potentially in an actual normal market. Very important to think of with that. But there's still multiple offers that are happening out there. They're happening more on the inner city type things. So they're happening down in Colorado Springs, in that area, in that market. They're also happening here in Woodland Park, when you're closer to Woodland Park. And it'll happen on a home if it's undervalued or underpriced as well. And that's if the seller is trying to drive that competition, or the real estate agent just didn't know what they were doing listing wise on there. You'll see lots of multiple offers, or it's just a very desirable home as well. I mean, there's still homes out there that are super desirable. So, but it's not happening the same way it was, getting into the beginning of this year. That stuff has slowed down. So if you're a buyer out there and you're looking like you're not competing with 10, 20 offers, you're competing with maybe 3 or 4 now. If you're a seller out there, it's a lot easier to sell your home and get into another home now than it was 6 months ago. So certainly things to think about as you go through this process. What better of a Christmas gift could you get as a seller than to sell your home, make tons of money on it in the bank, and then you can put that into a newer, nicer home, or downsize if you want to as well. But certainly things to think about. So as you're sitting out there and you're looking at homes, and I know there's a lot less inventory still, it's out there, but things to think about, it might not be the time to be super picky on like every single thing that you want in that home itself. You really need to have a list of must-haves and a list of would-be nice-to-haves on there, so that way you know exactly when a home meets that criteria, those must-haves, because moving into that home and the amount of money you're going to save on it now, as opposed to waiting for that one that's got everything that you absolutely wanted on it, your dream house on it, you don't have to do anything to, it's probably going to cost you way more than what it would have been just to make that home like that to begin with. So I hope you enjoyed this quarterly update for the Pikes Peak region, Teller County, winter of 2021. If you have any questions, once again, please don't hesitate to give me a call. James Dean Mountain Real Estate, and Keller Williams Client's Choice. You can call me at 719-304-9772. You can also shoot me a text at that number, or you can email me at james.dean@kw.com. I would love to answer your questions. I would love to help you out as you're sitting there analyzing and researching and trying to find out what's going to be best, that's going to work for you. So please do your homework, understand what's happening out there, because we're still in what's considered an abnormal market, but it's starting to feel more normal after it's been a little over a year that we've been dealing with this. But certainly think about this. Stay safe out there. I look forward to talking to you soon.